Tonight, a political earthquake is rumbling beneath America's most famous campaign machine. For nearly a decade, Donald Trump's fundraising operation has been portrayed as unstoppable. A digital goldmine powered by small donors, mega donors, and a base that never stopped giving. But tonight, that empire is showing visible fractures. Multiple campaign finance analysts confirm what insiders have whispered for weeks. Major donors are pausing. Some are freezing contributions. Others are quietly walking away. Behind closed doors, bundlers are canceling dinners. High-dollar events are being postponed. Calls that once ended with seven-figure pledges now end in silence. And the numbers are beginning to tell the story. Internal filings reveal rising legal costs, shrinking cash reserves, and an alarming burn rate. Every dollar raised is being consumed faster than it arrives. What was once a war chest now looks like a leaking vault. A former finance chair, speaking anonymously, told reporters, "The enthusiasm is still loud, but the confidence is fading. Donors don't just want passion, they want stability. Right now, they see chaos. This isn't just about money. It's about momentum." In modern politics, fundraising is oxygen. It fuels ads, field operations, data teams, legal defense, and digital dominance. When donors hesitate, campaigns stall. When campaigns stall, narratives shift.
And tonight, that narrative is changing. Supporters still chant, rallies still roar. But behind the staged lights, spreadsheets are flashing red. Political rivals are watching closely. Consultants are recalculating. And inside Trump's inner circle, one question now hangs in the air. What happens when the machine that ran on endless money begins to run on fumes? This is not collapse, but it is the sound of stress.
The sound of an empire learning it is not immune to gravity. And gravity, once it takes hold, does not negotiate. Breaking update. In politics, money doesn't vanish, it migrates. And tonight, that migration is underway. Sources inside major donor networks confirm a quiet retreat, not a rebellion, not a press conference, just distance. Calls go unanswered, invitations go unopened, meetings are rescheduled indefinitely. One veteran Republican fundraiser put it bluntly, it's not anger, it's risk management. Big donors operate like investors. They don't fund feelings. They fund trajectories.
And right now, many see uncertainty where certainty once stood. Legal battles dominate headlines. Courtrooms replace campaign offices. Every new charge, every new hearing adds friction to confidence. Donors ask a simple question. Is this campaign about winning or surviving? The campaign insists the base remains strong. And that's true. Small dollar donations continue to pour in after rallies and viral moments.
But campaigns are not built on passion alone. They are sustained by infrastructure. Airtime costs millions. Field offices cost millions.
Data operations cost millions. Emotion buys headlines. Money buys reach. And tonight, the reach is shrinking. One canceled donor retreat in Florida. A postponed fundraiser in Texas, a hedge fund backer who quietly redirects his support to down-ballot stability. These are not defections, they are signals. Signals that once unshakable confidence is now conditional. Inside Trump's team, emergency calls multiply.
Finance staff scrambled to repackage urgency. Emails shift from "we're winning" to "they're trying to stop us." Fear becomes a fundraising tool. But fear has limits, because donors don't just ask who is under attack, they ask who is still in control. And control tonight is in question. Breaking financial analysis. Every campaign has a burn rate, the speed at which money disappears.
Tonight, Trump's burn rate is flashing like a warning light on a dashboard at 90 miles per hour. Legal fees, travel, security, digital advertising, staff turnover, emergency PR.
Millions vanish each month. Insiders describe a financial structure built for momentum, not endurance. It thrives when donations surge. It strains when they plateau. And now they are plateauing. A former campaign accountant explains, it's like running a jet engine on a shrinking fuel line. You can keep flying, but only for so long. The campaign still raises enormous sums. But what once felt infinite now feels fragile.
Every expense is debated, every ad buy is scrutinized, every rally is weighed against its return. Political rivals sense blood in the water. They expand field offices, lock down media markets, invest early in ground operations while Trump's team fights to preserve dominance. Others build quietly in the shadows. This is how campaigns fall behind, not in one dramatic collapse, but in dozens of invisible delays.
A week without ads. A month without new hires. A state left unattended. Momentum doesn't die loudly, it erodes. And erosion is already underway.
For years, Trump's brand was power, unstoppable, untouchable, relentless. But narratives are living organisms. They evolve. Tonight's emerging storyline is not defeat, it is strain. Media headlines shift from surging to struggling, from dominant to defensive. Every fundraising report is dissected. Every delay becomes symbolic. The campaign fights back, framing retreat as strategy. Donor hesitation becomes loyalty testing.
Legal pressure becomes proof of threat, but perception has gravity. When a campaign appears under siege, donors grow cautious. When donors grow cautious, the siege deepens. It becomes a loop. Supporters remain emotionally committed, but institutions, PACs, networks, party infrastructure begin hedging. And in politics, hedging is prelude, not to betrayal, to transition. Inside every campaign, there exists a question too dangerous to voice. What if this doesn't work? Not what if we lose, but what if the model itself is breaking? Trump's fundraising empire was revolutionary, direct, emotional, relentless. It turned grievance into gasoline. It rewrote digital politics. But every system depends on belief. Belief that victory is possible, belief that investment will multiply, belief that power still flows forward. When belief wavers, money hesitates, and when money hesitates, history changes direction. This is not the end, but it is the moment before trajectories bend. Empires do not fall in explosions. They thin, they slow, they doubt. And doubt, once introduced, becomes the most expensive cost of all. While one campaign tightens its belt, others quietly expand. In Iowa, new field offices open. In Arizona, ad contracts lock months in advance. In Georgia, data teams scale. Rivals are no longer reacting. They are planning. A senior strategist from a competing operation says, we don't need them to collapse. We just need them to hesitate. That's the new battlefield. Modern elections are won long before Election Day through infrastructure, voter mapping, turnout modeling, local relationships, invisible architecture that cannot be built overnight. And architecture requires money. Every delayed hire becomes a lost advantage. Every postponed ad becomes an unseen message. Every skipped county becomes an unvisited voter. Trump's rallies still dominate headlines.
His presence still electrifies rooms, but campaigns are not performances, they are systems, and systems win quietly. What once looked like a two-speed race now resembles divergence. One side running on urgency, the other building in silence. History shows us this pattern. Power rarely falls to a louder opponent, it falls to a prepared one. There is a growing divide between energy and capital. The base remains fierce.
Donations spike after every viral moment. Small dollar supporters still respond to urgency, but campaigns cannot run on $15 contributions alone. They require bulk, stability, predictability. And predictability is exactly what donors no longer see. One finance insider confides, we can raise millions in days. But we can't guarantee millions in months. That difference is fatal in long campaigns. The base reacts. Donors plan. Reactions create waves. Plans create roads. A campaign built on reaction moves fast, but it burns fast. What once felt like a superpower now feels like volatility.
And volatility frightens those who write the largest checks. The base wants battle. The bank wants certainty. Tonight, those two forces are no longer aligned. Every hearing pulls more than attention. It pulls time. It pulls energy. It pulls money. Legal defense has become a second campaign, one that never pauses, never rests, never campaigns for votes. Donors are pragmatic. They ask, how much of my money wins voters?
How much funds survival? That ratio is shifting. And when donors feel they are financing defense instead of victory, enthusiasm cools. Not because they abandon belief, but because they recalculate risk. One prominent contributor summarizes it: I didn't sign up to fund a courtroom drama, I signed up to fund a presidency. Every new case adds uncertainty. Every new ruling adds weight, and weight changes trajectory. Even giants feel gravity. Money doesn't just buy ads, it buys people. Campaign staff live on momentum. They trade comfort for belief.
They accept long hours for the promise of victory. But belief has a shelf life. When paychecks feel fragile, when plans feel temporary, talent drifts. Mid-level strategists explore exits. Digital operatives take calls. Field organizers weigh offers. Not defections, options. And in politics, options become exits. A former campaign manager warns, you don't lose a campaign in public.
You lose it in conference rooms, staff loss is invisible. But it is fatal. Because campaigns are not brands. They are human machines. And machines fail when their engineers leave. Every empire reaches a moment where momentum becomes choice. Push harder, or conserve, expand, or stabilize. Trump's operation now stands at that fork. Double down on dominance, risking exhaustion, or tighten, risking invisibility. Neither path guarantees victory, but hesitation guarantees erosion. This is the paradox of power. The moment you defend it, you stop growing it.
And in politics, stagnation is surrender disguised as caution. The rallies will continue, the headlines will roar, the base will chant. But beneath the noise, a quieter war unfolds. A war of spreadsheets, of staffing, of reach, of time. Empires are not defeated by enemies, they are outpaced by reality. And reality, tonight, is moving. For years, Trump's operations sold one core idea: inevitability.
Not just victory, destiny. That belief was powerful. It attracted donors, volunteers, and attention. People don't fund uncertainty, they fund momentum. But inevitability is fragile. The moment doubt enters the room, the spell weakens. Tonight, that doubt is visible in body language, in donor calls, in strategic memos. The campaign still projects dominance, but projection is not the same as control. One senior Republican advisor notes, invincible brands die the moment they look human, mistakes become magnified, delays become symbols, every lost dollar feels like proof.
Rivals exploit this shift, whispering the same message to donors. This is no longer a sure bet. And in politics, a campaign that stops being inevitable becomes optional. Optional is dangerous because optional can be replaced. Money and media move together. When campaigns surge, coverage follows. When campaigns strain, skepticism grows. Reporters now analyze every filing, every quarter, every fundraising email.
The story is no longer how big is Trump's machine, it is how long can it last. That change matters. Because media doesn't just reflect reality, it creates it.
Donors read headlines, volunteers feel tone, voters absorb atmosphere. A campaign under pressure becomes a campaign under question, and questions slow momentum. Even loyal networks begin hedging. Panels grow cautious. Commentary shifts from celebration to evaluation. The spotlight no longer glorifies, it interrogates. While Trump's world remains loud, others are becoming boring. And boring wins elections. Rivals focus on data.
On turnout models, on county-by-county strategy, they speak less, build more. One strategist explains, noise wins news cycles, systems win elections. This is the unseen danger. Not an attack, not a scandal, but competence. A calm operation with stable funding can slowly outperform a volatile one with explosive energy. Energy fades, infrastructure compounds. The race is no longer about who dominates today.
It's about who is ready tomorrow. Trump's fundraising model thrives on loyalty. Every message is framed as defense.
Every donation becomes proof of allegiance. But loyalty has a cost. When supporters feel constantly under siege, fatigue grows. Urgency loses its edge. Appeals blur together. What once felt historic begins to feel habitual. One digital analyst observes, you can't run a permanent emergency without numbing people. Even the most devoted base needs moments of victory, moments of progress, moments of hope. Without them, urgency becomes noise, and noise stops converting into money. This is not collapse, it is confrontation with limits. Every empire eventually meets a version of itself it cannot outshout. Trump's campaign is discovering that attention is not endurance, that energy is not infrastructure. That belief, once cracked, is expensive to repair. The question is no longer, can he rally crowds? It is. Can the machine evolve? Can it shift from constant battle to sustainable growth? Can it transform pressure into structure? Because history is clear, the campaigns that survive turbulence are not the loudest. They are the ones that adapt. And adaptation is the hardest act for any empire. Campaigns do not lose because of one bad week. They lose because time stops working in their favor. Every election has two clocks. The public clock, measured in headlines, rallies, and viral moments. And the private clock, measured in infrastructure, data, staffing, and reach.
Trump's campaign still dominates the public clock, but tonight, the private clock is ticking louder. Opponents are locking in early votes, securing mail ballot strategies, mapping low turnout districts, training volunteers in silence. These are not dramatic moves, they are permanent ones. And permanence is power. A campaign that runs on spectacle must constantly perform. A campaign that runs on systems only needs to function.
Time rewards function, not flair. One veteran operative puts it simply. You can't improvise a ground game in October. Every week lost now becomes a month lost later, and months decide elections. Politics is not just arithmetic, it is psychology. Donors don't just fund candidates, they fund futures. The moment a future feels unstable, wallets hesitate. That hesitation spreads. It shows up in rooms, in emails, in tone. Confidence, once automatic, becomes conditional, and conditional confidence changes behavior. Meetings become shorter.
Commitments become vague, timelines stretch. No one announces doubt, they practice it. This is how momentum dies without noise, not in protest. Button pause, Trump is mythic. His presence rewrites rooms, his voice reshapes rooms. His rallies still feel historic, but elections are not won by myth. They are won by machines, voter files, daughter knocks. Ride programs, turnout model, and myth inspires, machines deliver.
For years, Trump fused both. Tonight, they are drifting apart. The myth still burns. The machine is strange.
And history is ruthless toward movements that forget mechanics. There is still time. Time to rebuild donor confidence, time to restructure operations, time to shift from reaction to architecture. But time is no longer infinite. Windows close quietly, not with alarms, with indifference. The danger is not losing supporters, it is losing inevitability. Once a campaign becomes one of many, it must fight on equal ground.
And equal ground is unforgiving. This is the moment where empires either evolve or fossilize. Empires are not judged by how they rise. They are judged by how they respond to pressure. Trump's fundraising empire changed American politics. It proved emotion could rival institutions, that digital passion could rival party machines. But now it faces its own creation. A world where attention is abundant.
And stability is rare. This is not the story of defeat. It is the story of transformation. The base still believes. The rallies still roar. The name still commands gravity. But power, in its final form, is not noise. It is endurance. The campaigns that shape history are not the ones that burn brightest. They are the ones that last. And tonight, America is watching an empire discover what every empire must eventually face. The future does not belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the structure that survives the storm.